Good evening. I do want to come out and we're going to do something a little bit different going forward here. We're going to try out something a little bit different video wise here and see how this works. And going forward, hopefully this thing, this format does deem to be very successful. I do want to talk about a couple of items in the news that are going on. Probably the biggest thing right now that I think we need to address as a nation is the uproar over the proposed overturn of Roe v. Wade. Let me just say this, and I've always said this. That this goes back to the days of George Floyd in 2020. Um, I want to say this: every American, we have the right to demonstrate. I used the example of a peaceful protester in Lafayette Park in front of the White House. That gentleman banged a drum for probably close to 20 to 25 years. Um, he just banged his drum, and the only thing he was doing was he was trying to promote world peace. He didn't burn down buildings. He didn't march in front of people's houses. He did a peaceful protest, and that's the way we should go about protesting. We have a right to do that. We have a right to protest, but peacefully. The events that happened this last weekend in Wisconsin and in the nation's capital, we don't need to be doing those things. Um, I know there is a huge difference of opinion uh, with this Roe versus Wade, and I understand that. I get that, but let's go about demonstrating um, in a peaceful way, not in front of our justices' homes, not burning down a clinic, but doing it peacefully. That's the way democracy works. Now, and I also want to say this too. This leak came out. Um, this isn't the final determination um, on the overturn of Roe versus Wade. It's just a draft um, ruling, and the opinion could change between now and its release date, which I understand is coming up in June. That could change considerably, and so I think the American people, we should take a breather and wait for the final outcome. Now, as far as where the leak came from, I believe that should fully be investigated. It needs to be investigated. It's something that should not have happened. Uh, just like when you're on a jury and you're going over a verdict, your decision shouldn't be leaked out before that decision is made public. Something happened. There was some some kind of issue where that draft ruling was released to the press, and I believe there should be a full investigation uh, on that. I want to also address the situation in Ukraine. Um, from the onset of this thing, I've said that all the United States wanted, and we still want, is peace. Back when this was first started, I believed in my heart that President Putin wanted peace as well. The actions that I've seen over these last 60 or so days of this conflict has led me to change my mind. Um, I don't see President Putin as a person who is wanting peace. I mean, this weekend I was really it really got to me seeing the news reports come in about a bombing of a school. 60 children were injured from the reports I've read. Why do we want to bomb a school? And, you know, when you have a war, when there's a war, there are uniform rules of combat. And one of them is you do not hit civilian targets. President Putin, time and time again, has hit civilian targets in this conflict. Uh, we all know what his desired outcome is. That's the complete and total destruction of Ukraine and returning Ukraine to Russia. Uh, President Putin's got a goal. His goal is to return Russia to the former Soviet Union, and I'm here to say that that's not going to occur. Uh, it would be like a leader in our country wanting to turn the United States back to the way it was in 1776. It's not going to happen. Times change, the world change. I think one thing that President Putin has done in this, and there's been a lot of miscalculations in this. I think one of the things he's done is misjudged the strength of NATO, misjudged the strength of the West. Uh, he wanted to see a fractured NATO. He wanted to see a fractured West just bow down and let him take Ukraine. What he's seen the people of Ukraine come out very decisively, come out and fight for their country. He's seen the NATO alliance come together stronger than it's ever been in recent history, and has shown President Putin that we will not back down. And we've said time and time again that the United States, at least the Rogers administration, we will back our NATO allies. And let me say this again, that an attack on a NATO ally under the Rogers administration is an attack on the United States. Now, uh, we're going to bring up the question about shipments of arms to the Ukrainians and how President Putin may see that as direct involvement in the conflict. It's not direct involvement in the conflict. The only way I see it that it becomes direct involvement is if there is shots fired from the United States toward Russia and vice versa. That's when it becomes a direct conflict. I don't see supplying arms. I don't see supplying the necessary uh, supplies to fight this war as a as being in direct conflict with Russia. I want to also talk about unemployment. You know, we've I talked about this for a long, long time. There's a goal I've got, and that's to get this country to a 3% unemployment rate. We're real close to that right now. We're at 3.6 right now. Um, we still have a lot of work to do, and primarily, we need to get America back to work. There's 10.1, 10.2 million jobs available in this nation, and it's time for us to get back to work. Uh, I know that um, there is talk of another COVID spending bill. Here's my thought on this: we have passed, from what I see from all reports, we've passed, I think, the worst part of COVID. Now, what we need to do is return to normal life as much as we can. And I believe that's a great start when the judge um, knocked down the mask mandate for interstate travel. I think that was a great thing. Something that my administration would definitely not uh, have continue. I would actually have let it expire. I would not have continued it any longer. But here's what I want to say. Um, you know, a lot of people saying you're taking a reckless approach toward this, and the answer is I'm not. I'm not taking a reckless approach toward this. Never have. But here's where we need to uh, spend our money at on COVID. We need to put money aside for the next pandemic. And let's hope that doesn't happen for a long, long, long time. But COVID has proved that it can and it will happen. So we need to be ready for the next pandemic, but we don't need to continually fund um, COVID. What we need to do instead of sending continued unemployment checks, which most of that's actually stopped. I mean, the continuing of the unemployment assistance insurance program or pandemic unemployment assistance insurance program, that's actually stopped. So we need to get back to work, and we need to get back to the basis of what makes America great, and that was, and I've said this time and time again, hard work, a earned paycheck. That is what's part of the American dream. There's no better there's no better feeling. There's no better feeling than to get that direct deposit into your checking account or to get that first paycheck or get that paycheck. I know a lot of people do direct deposit now, but get that paycheck. You earned that. That wasn't an entitlement. Now, when this first happened, the pandemic unemployment assistance program had to be done. Again, we had a pandemic we knew nothing about. We had we had no shots. We had no vaccines. We had no way to protect our country. So the only way we could go about doing it was to have these lockdowns, these shutdowns, and start paying out this pandemic unemployment assistance program. But now that we've got vaccines out, shots in arms, schools reopen, people beginning to reemerge, going back to work, it's time for all that to end. It's time for all that to end. We can drop the number of jobs that are available, 10.3, that can be dropped if every person who is currently unemployed, every person who is currently unemployed would go out and get a job. Every person. And by doing that, you will see, I think, tremendous turnaround in customer service. I personally had the experience of going to a restaurant three times. Three times in my local area, that restaurant was closed due to the lack of employees. There should be no need in that. Go by another restaurant in my local area back home in Texas. The inside dining is closed for the lack of employees. We need to fix that. We need to fix that. And we need to get this country back to where it was pre-pandemic. We're making a lot of progress on that. A lot of good headways being made on that, but we still have a lot of work to do. Excuse me. So I think we are headed in the right direction. Excuse me. We're headed in the right direction, but we still need to do some work to get there. Um, I still believe we will get our 3% unemployment by the end of this year. I had hoped for it to be last year, didn't quite make it. So I'm hoping that this year, by the end of this calendar year, or even our government fiscal year, that we get to 3%. So um, got a lot of hefty goals ahead of us, but I really think our nation, our country, uh, is in the posture to make that happen. Thank you all very much.